Okay, hello, hello. It is April 14th, the day before tax day. Does everybody have their taxes done? Or I know it's always a fun time of year. Hey, Stephanie, we're glad you're here. Okay, well, we are just getting started, so I will say a quick prayer and then we will get going. So, Lord, we just thank you for this night, and I thank you for these ladies that are on here this evening. And we just pray for those that are normally here that couldn't be on for whatever reason, and we just pray that you help them and guide them. And Lord, we just thank you for these friendships and for this unit of Mary Kay people that we can just come together and help each other be better. And just guide me this evening as I talk about some of the things from this book and help it to be clear and helpful to everyone that's here. And Lord, we just ask that you bless our efforts and our business and just bring us more people that you would have to be a part of us. And it's in your name we pray. Amen. Okay, really quick. So, Jody, do you know how much your sales were? That's okay. It's all right. I did I did add up my sales because I suggested that we track how many actual products we're selling this month. And so I like numbers. So I'm going to share how many products I've sold so far this month and then how much I sold this week. And remember when I said that, if you sold about 40 products, you probably sold enough to order 400 wholesale? Okay. So I did have a good week. So I sold $858 last week. And since the beginning of April, I've sold 40 products. And so I sold 858 this week and around 200 last week. So I'm at like $1,000. So I should be able to order 500 wholesale. And so that's interesting. I was curious to see if it would work out. And so, okay, Jody sold about 200 a travel set. Oh, well, that's good. 200 is good. So I just kind of I didn't actually have faces last week. I really truly had some reorders and I had a couple of my shop orders, and two of them were on purpose my shop orders and one of them wasn't. Okay, so I've had two situations where I've tried, to communicate to my customers, and I've had two situations though where they really didn't want it to be shipped, and so I had to take them the product anyway, and then I'm having to go back and get the box. This has happened twice, but I've tried to communicate that. But anyway, I think those people probably won't order again. And then I had one lady that said, "Oh, I don't want to order off there. I'd rather, she did it the first time. She said, I'd rather you deliver it." And I said, "Great, I'll deliver it on Monday." And then I was planning on doing that. And then I look and she did a my shop order. And so I messaged her and I said, "I was gonna deliver it, but I see you went ahead and did a my shop order." And she's like, "Oh, I don't know why I did that. I messed up again." So I don't know. It's still a communication thing with customers, if you have a My Shop account and who wants to use it. And I have some that do. They intentionally do, but I've had some that it's been kind of an accident. So kind of interesting. Speaking of My Shop, I'm not going to share the screen, but if you go to your news section on Mary Kay and Touch, I mentioned to you last week that I was on a call with the Sapphire Division, and they kind of were giving us a little bit of a rundown of some upgrades they're doing based on the information we've sent them. Well, they talk about that more in the news. It's called e-commerce upgrades, and they said this is what we've done, and they explained it, I thought, a little bit better than how they explained it to us. And then they also put in what is coming next. And so I think that's helpful to know because some of it's changes with the actual My Shop, some of it's in My Customers. So it's good to look at those changes. So that's in MK News if you guys want to take a look at that. It just says upgrades to e-commerce, I think, or something like that. The main thing I'm excited about that's coming soon is that they're going to take those dates out. Like if you want to do free shipping, and you have to put a range in of a month, and then you have to go back every month and change it. They're going to take that out, which I think is really good. I don't know why it was there to begin with. So anyway, that'll be good. All right. I hope you guys have paper. If you don't have paper, you might want to get paper because I think tonight you might want to take notes. Um, does anyone want to share before I get started? Because we're doing really good on time. Does anyone want to share anything good though that's happened this week? It doesn't have to be Mary Kay related, just anything good that's happened that you want to share. Okay, Dawn.
I have, well, two Mary Kays and a personal, so
Okay.
not everybody knows. But I finally went to my very first NBA game, so that was a big deal. Went to Indianapolis all by
Oh,
myself.
wow.
Yep,
All by
so
yourself?
all by myself. It's only a 3 hour drive up the highway, 3.5. So that
Okay.
was fun. But Mary Kay related, I got a request from a school to donate a gift basket for a fundraiser. And it happened to be like one of Amy's customers, one of the moms. Um, and so I got to go bring a gift basket today. She was thrilled with what I did. I put together like $75 worth. And she asked me for some books, and she's going to like talk me up and try and get me referrals and make mention about all the gifting coming up for Mother's Day. So I'm excited to see what comes out of that. She just called me up and said, I thought of you. Would you want to participate? And
Yay.
um, another one of Amy's customers, so both of these girls are teachers in the school system. So there's all those moms with all those kids. She said to me when I dropped off an order last week, she's like, I want to have a Mary Kay party. I have a really big family. So we'll be talking soon. I want to have a Mary Kay party. Like, okay, that's always, I mean, that just
That's always
dropped in my,
good. Yeah,
yeah. So
that's awesome.
I know they all had school break last week and I assumed she went out of town. So now I get to follow up with her and
Okay.
hopefully, yeah. Yep.
Well,
So
that's
that's my
good.
Mary
That's
Kay
all good.
news. That's
So,
kind of in the
would you
mix.
go to a basketball game again by yourself?
Oh, for sure. I'm
You
thinking
liked it?
like Chicago's next or Oklahoma City's next, maybe. I'm there to
Cool.
watch the players, understand like what each arena does for their entertainment. And yeah, I can it was great.
Fun. That's fun. Yay. Anybody else want to share something good that's happened? Go ahead, Jody.
So they did a reinspection on the roof today, and the same adjuster was like, "Oh, I don't know what I was looking at the last time. Your roof is totaled." You
Oh,
think? So anyway, yeah. So new roof, and then he looked at the shed, and I have to re-look at the estimate. But my roofer said I think he said he was going to give you a whole new shed, and I was like, seriously? So I need to look at the estimate again. But yeah, so
Yay.
great.
That's
Is your
good.
insurance is your insurance
Progress.
company gonna do right by you with the claim?
I'm sorry.
Is the insurance company doing right by you with your claim? Like, is it all covered?
Yeah. But now since I threw a fit and had them re-inspect it, yeah,
Good.
yeah, yeah. So that was good. And then um, just had a good weekend. I mean, it wasn't stressful or anything like that. So I mean, I even worked, but it's still a good weekend. So yeah,
Yay. Good. Hey, Debbie, we're glad you're here. Are you feeling better?
I'm feeling a little better. I'm still can't
Oh
talk
my
yet.
goodness. I can still hear it. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness. Bless your heart.
Well, I have acute bronchitis and asthma, and so it got in my bronchial tubes. So it's
Okay.
taken me a long time to get better. I just
All
woke
right.
up, fell asleep.
Well, I'm glad you're here and glad you have a smile on your face. We'll keep praying you start getting stronger for sure.
Well,
Does
thank you.
anyone else have anything they want to say that's happened good this week before I get started? Go ahead, Stephanie.
I finally got a car.
You got a car? Yay! What kind of car did you get?
I bought it. I mean, I got it from my roommate.
Okay, so it's the one you've kind of been driving some anyway, but it's yours now. Yay!
Fantastic.
Well, that's
Good girl.
exciting because it's been a while. I mean, this is something you've been thinking about for a bit. So, congratulations. That that's exciting.
I also
Gives you
got transferred at my job.
in a good way, like somewhere else.
No, I was working
Oh,
5 minutes. I was working 5 minutes away from home, and now I have to drive 25 minutes to go to work.
oh, well,
What
good thing you got the
location?
car.
Stephanie, what location?
O'Fallon, Highway K.
Oh my God, that's terrible. Are you trying to put in for the new one in U City?
No,
Oh
Well,
it's
God.
better.
I'm
The
glad
pe-
you
the
got your
people the
car.
people the people are better. The employees are better.
Okay.
So it's worth the 25-minute drive.
Okay, that's good. And you
Why
got a
they
car. So,
why'd they send you out there? You need to rescue them in some way with all of your leadership skills and
I mean,
experience?
it's just how it happens. It's a busier store, so this it's just what they do.
Well, they're
They say
making
they
you
want you
grow
to
a little
learn.
bit then,
They
right?
say they want you to learn to work with a different demographic.
oh, okay. Well, we're glad you're flexible and that you have a car to drive there. Um,
I mean, it's kind of what you sign up for. If you're a manager, you don't have a choice.
yeah.
They
Yeah.
move people like twice a year.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
That's big
it's
news.
it sounds good though. I mean, the drive may not be so good, but everything else sounds good. So
It's all
that's good.
highway.
Yeah, okay. That's good. That's really good. Anybody else have anything they want to share that's good? It's good you're here, Terry. We miss you. We're glad you're here. So glad to have you
That's what I
back
was
for
just going to say.
tonight.
I feel out of place by not saying something.
Yeah. Well,
So,
it's just positive that you're here. That's a good
yeah.
thing. That's a
Well,
good
life
thing for
life
us.
is good. Life is freeing
Yeah.
up at work, so that's wonderful, and I'm feeling much better than what I had been, and on a positive everything. And I actually had time to go visit my buddy Don yesterday, so we had some
Yay.
catch up time. So
Yay.
yeah,
That's good.
it was a long time coming. So yeah, so life is
Yay.
good.
Yay. I'm so glad. And we're glad Debbie's on the mend. It's
Hmm.
taken a little bit, but we are thankful, Debbie, that you're back. So, all right. Well, we will get started. So, as a reminder, this is the book that we've been going through once a month. And at the beginning, remember there's 10 human drives, but 5 of them are what we call baseline drives, and 5 of them are forward drives. We are going to wrap up our baseline drives tonight. So we've done control and we've done competence and congruence, which congruence keeps coming up in my life all the time. It was interesting that we learned about that last time. Tonight, we are going to focus on caring and connection. Um, so I'm going to reread to you the 2 sentences that we talked about at the very beginning that I read to you, and I wanted you to rank yourself between 1 and 10, I believe I said, on these sentences. So I'm going to reread the one for caring before we get into caring. And it said, I care for myself well. I am kind to myself and mindful of consistent self-care. I feel cared for by others. People are kind to me and make me feel cared for and appreciated. I also deeply care for others and I demonstrate it regularly by expressing my appreciation. So, how would you rank yourself from that sentence? You don't have to say, just write it down. And you probably ranked yourself before. I don't know what you put yourself at. And remember, we tend to think through these and think, okay, if I want to be ranked high on this, is there something I need to start doing? And is there something I need to stop doing? And we kind of have some exercises a little bit with caring. So, caring kind of seems like, okay, duh, but this is really interesting, I think. So this is just a quote that he puts at the beginning of the caring chapter, and it says, I expect to pass through life but once. If therefore there be any kindness I can show, or any good thing I can do for any fellow being, let me do it now, and not defer or neglect it, as I shall not pass this way again. I thought that was really good. That's William Penn. So, what he says about caring is that caring and emotionally engaged become really kind of like our number one endeavor if we want to be truly happy in our life. So we can talk about success and we can do all that, but caring is really kind of important for yourself, caring for yourself and also for others. And the capacity to care and be cared for is a human strength. We should all strategically focus on being better caregivers to everyone we meet in life. We should also be better care receivers by more readily attuning to and appreciating the caring thoughts and gestures from others. When we do, our life lights up. And he said, and so do your brains. So, and he said, the number one reason people quit their jobs across all industries is the lack of appreciation. No one demonstrated that they cared about or were grateful for the person's hard work and contributions. And I think most of us that have worked in the corporate world would agree that is a true statement, right? And different bosses are different about the whole caring thing. If you're not making a point to be caring of others in your life, the people around you don't feel cared for, loved, appreciated, respected, or engaged by you at the level of the heart. So naturally, they contact you less frequently, trust you less, buy from you less, follow you less, and leave you more. So even our own customers, are not going to be as connected to us if they don't think we care at all, right? Or if we just care about what they buy. Our drive for caring is a need for a broad sense that we are safe, worthy, and loved, that by our own actions and the actions of others, we are cared for. So connection is more specific, which we're also going to talk about connection tonight. But connection is more specific about a sense of belonging and a type of relationship you have with others. And connection is something you have. Caring is something you do and receive. So caring is something you do and receive. Connection is something you have, because we're going to be talking about both of those tonight, because those are both of the human drives. But he said in his view that most of the time when we're talking about all these human drives, that caring is the one that gets the least attention. So it says that really we are hardwired to care, like that's part of our brain. It turns out that your brain is remarkably well equipped, biologically built to relate and care for others' emotions and experiences. Sometimes based on things that's happened in our life to us, we can get kind of an emotional brain block and we might not care as much. Not that we weren't be wired that way, but sometimes things happen. And so sometimes that is, can be a problem. And sometimes, because we shut down that emotion to kind of be a defense mechanism, which I think is a very common thing to happen to people, especially if you've had trauma or treated badly and all the things. So some of us know that because we've been through it, right? So then the less emotion we feel, the less care we give to ourselves and others. So emotion, it turns out, is the spark that compels us to care in the first place. So how do we overcome the conditioning of our past, and how do we train ourselves to care more for ourselves and others and allow others to care for us? So remember, he has activators that he suggests we do for each one of these things. So his first activator for caring is caring for yourself. Remember, we talked before about congruence, which means if this is what we care about, if this is important to us, if this is what we value, then we're going to spend time on that. And I gave you guys the example of, how I had told my coach how exercise and health was really important to me. That was valuable, but then I wasn't spending any time in self-care doing that at the time. Now I've changed that because I've had to change, because I said it was important, and so I've had to make it important in my life. So I think sometimes we can take care of other people so much that maybe we don't take care of ourselves, and that could be the way we're eating, the way we're exercising. It says looking out for the best interest of your health and overall life is very important. And when you know you aren't taking care of yourself, it's almost impossible to feel a sustained charge in your life. So we know from all of our other training in Mary Kay that physical, mental, spiritual health is very important to make everything else okay, right? So this is not really new for us because we've learned that, but I think it's a good reminder. And so he just throws out the things he thinks are helpful, which we've heard these things over and over and over, but make sure you schedule a minimum of 7 hours of sleep for yourself every night. And I know, some of us are younger than others, but, at my age, I have figured out that my body works the best if I'm on a consistent schedule. Like if I go to bed at midnight one night and 9 o'clock the next night, and so, I'm going to not feel that great. But and every once in a while we're going to stay up late because we have something going on, right? But for the generally going to bed at the same time every night and getting up at the same time every morning makes you have definitely more energy. So 7 hours of sleep. And he said, he also says, smaller portions of food will give you more production. So your body will never feel cared for if you cram too much food down your throat or poison it with fast foods, which we know that too, but sometimes it's hard to get away from that. I've really tried to focus on that in the last year, and it's made a big difference. Exercise at least 3 times per week. Meditate or pray, and drink a lot of water. We know all these things, but it's sometimes hard to do them consistently. But those are ways that you can care for yourself. He also says to begin consciously checking into the feelings that you have every day, just so you can kind of see what works well for you and what doesn't in the way you work when you're working out and the way you're drinking water and the way you're feeling. If things feel off, like kind of journal, like, okay, why do I feel off? What am I not doing, or what do I need to be doing so that I feel better? So that's important to take care of yourself. So that's the first activator, is just taking care of yourself. The second activator for caring is being more vulnerable and allow others to care for you. It says you are a child of God, and that alone makes you worthy of care and love. We know that, but sometimes we have to tell ourselves that, right? We are worthy of care and love. So he says to grab your journal and take a few minutes to write down all the areas in your life that you are having challenges with. So you don't have to do this right now, but if this is something you want to do later, write this down. Grab your journal and take a few minutes to write down all the areas in your life that you're having challenges with. Consider all aspects of your life: emotional, mental, social, professional, financial, and spiritual. What challenges or problems are you having in each area? Now, in each of those areas, write down your ultimate ambitions and dreams. So that's like a really good exercise for yourself to do when you have time to sit down and really do that. So you could write that down and kind of go through that. But that's kind of being a little bit more vulnerable, and knowing in those areas, do I need someone else to help in me in those areas? And am I willing to ask? You would write a book. That's okay. It's just for you. So activator number 3 is to be more present, interested, and attentive to others. If we can care for ourselves and allow others to care for us, we're halfway home to activating the drive fully. But the second step is also caring for others. The number one reason your relationships aren't as charged or as caring as you wish is that, frankly, you're rarely in the relationship. Your presence is distracted. When you're with others, you're attentive to a long list of other things besides them. Your mind is racing on tomorrow's to-do list, or the thing you have to do after you get this interaction out of the way, or the words you want to say once they finally shut up talking and you finally get your turn. So we kind of do that. So we need to think about being intentional. And I have a tendency to be such a taskmaster that I think I do rush through conversations sometimes because I'm thinking about what next needs to be done, either in that conversation with that person or what else I have to do next. And so I am a caring person, but it might come across that I'm not if I'm not being intentional with that person right then at that moment. And so I thought that was a really good reminder. And I'm going to give you guys an example of what happened yesterday to me with a customer. And says, from now on, when anyone speaks, remind yourself to be present. And then he said, try this simple test. So you could write this down to try to do later. Write down the 10 people you interact with most frequently. And then ask yourself how well you know those 10 people that you interact with most frequently. Do you know like their favorite meal? Do you know what their ambitions are in life? Do you know some of their best experiences, their worst experiences? He's like, really, how well do you know the people that you're interacting with the most? Like, are you present enough to listen to what's going on in their life? So I think that's a really good thing. And then he said, does this sound familiar to y'all? That's why we all should see everyone in the world as having a sign hung around their neck that reads, please listen to me and value me, which is the same thing as make me feel important. Like we've heard that before, right? And we know this, but do we practice it daily? The strategy is simple. From now on, whenever someone shares something with you, be conscious of asking this question. Wow, how did you feel when that happened? Like really pay attention to them, not in a way that you're trying to fix their problem, but really just listening with intention. He said the happiest and most high-performing people I've met are extremely caring people. They put caring for themselves and others at the very top of their priorities in life. And I think some of us care for others so much that we don't care for ourselves. Some of us may not care for ourselves or be present with other people. Some of us may be the opposite. We may just only take care of ourselves. So, you want to have that balance. But let me tell you just an example of this. And it was totally fine. And I hope that I was intentional as I should have been. But I got a call from a lady. I've been referred to her from a lady that has retired from selling Mary Kay. And so she called me on Saturday and she wanted 6 intense moisturizing creams because she uses it, her daughter uses it, her granddaughter uses it. That's like a $200 order. It ended up being $200 and something with tax. And so I missed her phone call because I didn't answer it at first because I didn't know the phone number. And so she left a message. So then I tried to call her back. I couldn't reach her, but I said, I can deliver it to you on Monday. So then I texted her and said, I can deliver it to you on Monday. So she finally got back to me and said, I'm in a DAR meeting all day, but can you come like between 4 and 4:30? And I was like, yeah, that's not my prime time to go deliver because the traffic is getting crazy. And she doesn't live like super close to me, but I was like, this is a new customer. She's ordering 6 intense moisturizing creams. I'm going to drive over there at between 4 and 4:30 and deliver this. So I get there and she had just pulled up and I think she's probably in her 70s, I think, but I ended up being there for 40 minutes because she really wanted to talk. And it took her a while. She has some kind of condition where she kind of shakes. She said it's like a nervous system thing. So it took her a little bit to write the check out. And then she had me help her write the check. And then she said, well, you want to meet my dog? And she goes, I just got all new flooring in my house. And we changed out all the plumbing and we redid. She goes, come on in and let me show you. Like she doesn't know me. So first time I met her. So I go in and through the conversation, I ended up feeding her dog a whole hamburger while she's looking at the Mary Kay lookbook to order more things for next week. I found out her husband has Alzheimer's and where he's located. She shows me the pictures of her husband from the last year, like how he's progressed in his Alzheimer's. And told me all about her flooring, showed me her new bathroom. I mean, so I was like, oh, but she obviously needed someone to talk to. And, her husband has moved out and had to, and so I thought to myself, this is okay. I just know if I'm going to deliver to her, I need to make sure I have time. I need to a lot for some time so I'm going back next week because she ordered perfume while while I was feeding. She goes, here, you feed the dog the hamburger and so I thought, but as Mary Kay consultants, sometimes that's what we do, right? I mean, we are just there for them and we're sort of like hairdressers. I'm sure hairdressers hear all the things. But she's a retired teacher and like I learned all the things about her. But that's kind of, part of our job. But it would have been bad if I would have been super rushed and would have been like, I gotta go. Like but for some reason, I don't know if it was just God yesterday, I knew my husband needed to eat dinner by a certain time, and I didn't know it was going to take 30 minutes. But I cooked dinner before I left and had the plate of food in the fridge for my husband before I left. So I knew that was taken care of. So I'm glad that because I don't always do that, but anyway, but I'm thankful. And she has worn Mary Kay for a long time, and her other consultant retired. And so I don't know, but I appreciated the business, and it may take a little longer when I go deliver, but that I just need to allot the time. But that's just kind of an example of caring. That sometimes we have to be intentional like that and have the time. And sometimes that's hard, but it was interesting to hear about her life and all of that. So it was cool. Anyway, so that's caring. And then our other drive we're going to talk about is connection. So we can kind of see what the difference is between these two. So he kind of goes through an example of a kid and all that, how he kind of got the kid and his parents connected because they just didn't talk to each other. So connection, sometimes he's going to talk about it a little bit. It's going to be connections with friends. It's going to be connections maybe with our significant other or other family members. And then it's going to be connection with acquaintances or maybe people you work with. So we all want to feel connected to those around us. The challenge in our modern society is that thanks to social media, we are more connected to more people than ever before, but those connections are more superficial than ever before. So I think as people in the world, as women and as consultants, we want to not be superficial. We want to be truly connected with people. So psychologists have found that the happiest 10% of people on earth have one thing in common. They all have rich, fulfilling social lives and intimate relationships. So the drive for connection, both casual and intimate, is so strong that we sometimes end up devoting time to people for much longer than they deserve. That's interesting, isn't it? So we have to decide, are we spending time with the right people, which again, we have heard how many times it matters who the 5 most important, the 5 people you spend the most time with makes a difference. A lot of that affects our connection. So our desire to bond and belong outweighs almost every other desire. The problem is that much as we want to connect with others, we also want to exert our own wills on the world and our relationships. So maybe we should all learn how to honor each other's individuality as we become closer to each other. After all, almost all things that get us in trouble in our relationships, criticism, defensiveness, competition, harsh disagreements, stem from a lack of understanding, acceptance, or validation of each other's uniqueness and individuality. So I think that's important in life. I think it's important in our unit to know, okay, not everybody's going to understand us the same way or work the same way. Same thing with our customers. Same thing when you work with other demographics, right, Stephanie, in another store. I mean, you're going to meet new people. And So you're going to go, why are they doing it like that? Like, what are they thinking? But we've also learned a lot in Mary Kay about different personalities, right? We've done a lot of personality things. We've learned we have different strengths. We've learned we have different love languages. We've learned, there's a reason why we learn all that in Mary Kay, because we are trying to make connections with customers. So his activators for connection is number 1, define and design your ideal relationships. So you ask yourself, what exactly do I want in my relationships in life? Amplifying your own relationships with others begins by defining what it looks like and then designing your behaviors and interactions to make them reality. So he does, here's some questions you guys can write down that you can think about for later to decide how your connections are with your current friends or whatever. But so he puts it in different categories, but what defines a happy and deeply connected family relationship to you? So with any of your family, what for you could write this down and think about it, defines a happy and deeply connected family relationship. And then what would you have to do to improve that with your current family? And then the same thing with friends. What defines a happy and deeply connected friendship to you? And then what would you have to do to improve that? And then lastly, there's 4. Third, what defines a happy and deeply connected intimate relationship to you? So that would be like your significant other or your spouse. And what would you have to do to improve that? And then lastly, what defines a happy and deeply connected coworker or peer relationship to you? And what would you have to do to improve that? So those are kind of the 4 areas. Like, you define for yourself what that looks like, what you want that to look like, because we're not all exactly the same in what we want, what makes us happy or deeply connected. But those are the 4 areas. And it says you should consider sharing with each other what your ideal relationships with them would look like. I think this is especially in a close relationship. You definitely need to define that with each other. Ask others what they desire from us and share with others what you need. And if you're willing to do the hard work of defining and sharing what you want, and you're willing to listen to and meet others' desires as well, you'll find that all of your relationships will grow. So it's important to tell those people that are closest to us what you need from them and let them tell you what they need. The second activator is practice positive projection. If they want the best from their students or their spouses, they must see the best in them. That's what teachers and married couples need, right? And expect the best from them. You get what you look for. So the challenge is too many of us are too guarded or cynical. And this kind of made me think a little bit in Mary Kay of sometimes I get scared when I'm recruiting a new person because I've been in Mary Kay for 26 years. And I sometimes think, well, because we've had situations where we've recruited new people and then they never respond to me at all, like 0, like don't, even text me back. Or I have people come in and then I'm just assuming they're just going to do personal use and they don't necessarily want to work. Why am I assuming that? Well, because that's happened several times, so this made me think I need to think differently. I need to think more about what the positive thing, and I think I used to be more like that at the beginning, and then I got kind of cynical, which is not good. I should think the most positive thing for someone, because you get what you look for, right? So the challenge is too many of us are too guarded or cynical. We've been hurt before, so the 3-pound anticipation machine in our skull starts looking for trouble. People's faults become the focus of our social scanning. Over time, we stop seeing people's strengths and see only their weaknesses or behaviors that might bother or hurt us. So this kind of I've told myself to think a new thought about when someone starts. I just automatically need to always think they want to do this as a business. Of course, everything is their decision, but I don't just need to make a bad assumption. And I've also, this is something my coaches caught me on a lot, because I'm 55 and we've had some girls in our unit that are in their 20s. And and many of them haven't stayed. Every time we recruit someone in their 20s, my automatic go-to is, well, they're not going to do it because I'm 55 and they're 25 and I can't relate to them very well, and they're just going to leave. They're not going to, stick with it, because that's what I've seen a little bit, but that doesn't mean that everybody's that way. And I should, think better about everybody. And I can't support someone that I'm already thinking isn't going to stick, right? So I'm just sharing with y'all what goes through my head. And so where I need to think differently about the people that we bring in, I need to think positive and give everybody a chance to show who they are, regardless of their age. And yes, I do need to see how I can better connect with someone who's 25, when I'm 55. But that could be, again, creating that connection with them and asking them what they need from me instead of just assuming what I think they need from me, because they may need something different from me than a new consultant who's 55 like me. So, that's just something to think about. So when you live your life believing that people are generally good and interesting, you will find the good and interesting aspects of every person you interact with. So yes, Jody, you really will. She didn't believe me when I said that. Carrying the torch of optimism into your social relationships is probably the best thing you could ever do to start feeling better about humanity. If you see people as smart, caring, interesting, and helpful, they tend to show up that way. One of the most powerful results of positive projection is that you stop seeing others as obstacles or competitors and instead see them as teammates or valued opponents on the road of life. I think this works in your everyday job too. And what would happen if you started assuming the people in your life were brilliant, caring, worthy, and on their own wondrous journeys to achieve their dreams? If you saw others this way, what would happen to your interactions with them? Instead of thinking, this is going to be bad, before they even open their mouth. And sometimes people prove themselves wrong. They prove themselves different than this, but we get what we're looking for, right? So he said happily married couples who ended up staying together for life have in common the ratio in which they share positive versus negative input. So that ratio is 5-to-1. So you should aspire to give 5 times as much praise in your relationships as criticism. So that's a marriage tip for you. So I thought that was good. Okay. Activator number 3 is find and cultivate growth friends. And I thought this is cool because I feel like we're growth friends. Like, part of the value of Mary Kay is that we are always trying to be better in all ways of our life. And we want to help each other. We want to help each other grow. So that's one of the things I love about Mary Kay. It's not just about selling skincare and lipstick. It's about how do we grow as adults. And so we come together and try to be better people, right? We try to be more caring. We try to have more connection. And so I consider you guys my growth friends because this is where, we try to help each other be better. So the quality of our immediate friendship-based relationships is one of the most important factors in determining our overall stability, mood, ambition, emotional range, growth, and satisfaction in life. And so then he goes through a whole thing of really analyze who you spend your time with. Now, we don't pick our family, but we can pick our friends. And so he said it is really important that you evaluate people that you spend the most time with. And are they really, truly helping you grow? Because if they're not, those are people you might not want to spend as much time with if your goal is to grow. So strategically make the choice today to start surrounding yourself with remarkable friends who help lift your life to a level of energy and potential it has. There are battery chargers and battery drainers, and there are those with no charge whatever, the neutrals. So if you're wanting to live your best life, then you want to be around battery chargers. So he said to kind of put your friends in 3 buckets, like old friends, maybe you've had them for a long time. And some of those people are not people that are ever going to go away from you, but you may only see them 3 or 4 times a year. You touch base with them. They're still your friends. They're always going to be your friends, but they're not like in your growth right now. Then they're your maintenance friends who will also be your friends forever. And then he said, sometimes you need to look at the old friend list and the maintenance friends list, and not that you're going to unfriend them, but it just may be that you're going to choose not to spend as much time with them if you feel like they're drainers, or maybe even if they're neutral. And then you want to spend more time with people that are growth friends. So, if you're not getting the quality of friendship you need from one peer group, build a new one and focus more of your time and energy sharing there. I think, for me, I have Mary Kay, so I have all of you guys, and I'm part of my Bible study fellowship group, which those girls are a lot like us in the sense that they want to be better. They show up every week. They have to be very committed to their leadership role in what we do. And so I get to be with them twice a week. And then, that some of the girls that I work out with, like, they're looking for me to show up to work out. And so I feel like that's kind of a growth friend thing, because I knew I was going to be out of town later this week. And so I had to tell them I won't be here because I'm going out of town, because they would call me on it and go, where are you? Like, so we're committed together to be there working out. And so I feel like that's good for me, so those are that's the kind of life you want to have, is people that are going to hold you accountable, care for you. You have strong connections with them, but also don't poo-poo on your goals or whatever your growth is, whether it's personal or Mary Kay or in your own regular job or wherever it is. You want to be friends with people that are going to kind of put you at a higher level. So the focal point of your life should now turn to finding and cultivating your growth friends. And he said the best way to be a growth friend is to be one yourself. Like, to get one is to be one yourself. Role model the type of relationships you want in your life. So you be the caring connection person, so that you pull those. And, people that exercise, people that are eating healthy, people that don't constantly bring you down with energy draining and all of that. That's who you want to be around. So at the end of this, he just says to find 5 things you could immediately do to create happier and deeper relationships in your life. And if I did a better job in positively projecting toward my spouse or significant other, I'd start to give that person credit for these things. So if you have a spouse or significant other, what would you give them credit for? And then the growth friends I have in my life, or will now have, because I'm going to cultivate them, include what? What do you want in a growth friend? So those are kind of those things. So that ends like the 5 baseline things for a charged life. And then we are going to move to the forward drives next time, which is going to be on change and challenge. Kind of sounds like what we've done with all the changes, right? And then we're going to do creative expression, contribution, and consciousness. So I don't know, really quickly, I know we're just a tad over. Is there anything you want to share that you heard? Oh, I didn't read you guys the connection sentence. Let me read that really quick. I read you the caring one, but I didn't read you the connection one that you rated yourself on. On connection, I feel deeply connected to the people in my life. Overall, I have healthy relationships. I focus on improving my relationships, and I feel lucky and happy to have great people in my personal and professional life. How do you rate yourself on that? Deeply connected to the people in your life. Overall, I have healthy relationships. I focus on improving my relationships, and I feel lucky and happy to have great people in my personal and professional life. So depending on how you rated yourself, some of the exercises that we talked about, you could work on. So real quick, does anyone want to share anything they just was an aha moment or something they were reminded of before we go? Do you guys feel like you're caring and connected? Jody.
I know I need to work on caring. Not really. This whole journey that I'm on right now has really humbled me. And I think I've said this before, but accepting people's help and accepting people's generosity is not something that I'm used to. I've always been the one to give and the one to do and the one to help. So learning to accept that has been like huge. And even Cledell, doing some things today, a friend had come over and help him, because it's just as we get older and not even just older, just like physical limitations seem to happen and you have to do that. I think also, you're saying about being caring and how that, you'll keep your customers. So legit question, but also kind of a not so nice. Like, so does that mean if we're not as caring that we'll lose those customers we don't want to have?
Well, probably works both ways.
Not really. No, I have, I'm kind of like your story that you have the little lady that just wants to talk and talk and talk. And, and here's the thing is, they're lonely and they want to talk. And you're right. We're their hairdresser. We're their, yeah, And that was sweet of you. That was so sweet of you to go ahead and make that arrangement.
So. It was funny. I felt like she was becoming my best friend and I just met her. And, she didn't know me at all to say, come on in my house and come look at my bathroom. And that's probably not safe for her really to do that, to just let me in there.
Yeah.
I mean, she took the from her other Mary Kay consultant that she'd had that I was a decent person, but I was like, she needs to be careful. She's like in her house that she just met 5 minutes before, but
that's sweet. That was sweet of you. So
but anyway,
I don't know. It really is. It's kind of eye-opening. I'm sure that all of us probably have things that, it's just like accepting people for who they are and their personalities and knowing where you need to set your boundaries and just reanalyzing things. It was a good lesson. Thank you.
Well, and I kept seeing things today, like at our BSF lesson, I was irritated about a couple of things and I thought, why am I even irritated about this? It doesn't even affect me. Like, it doesn't matter that that's what she does because that's just how she is and that doesn't affect me. But I was getting irritated sitting there and I was thinking, well, how stupid is this? That here I am at Bible study and I'm like, and we were talking about repentance and I was like, okay, God, I repent. I'm like, I'm like, God likes to show you things. And so, it doesn't matter how that person talks or what they do. Doesn't affect me at all. It's totally fine, and that's how she is. And and then I even, we don't all think the same way. And I was trying to work with somebody on something today and I'm like, I'm probably overthinking this because I overthink things. And and it's like, and she's looking at me like, it doesn't have to be this hard. And I'm like, we just think about it differently. And I knew that I was overthinking because I'm an overthinker. And so, these are really true. I love that thing about people wearing a sign around their neck because I was like, oh yeah, these are things we learn in Mary Kay in lots of areas. But it is a good reminder to be real intentional with, our relationships, however that is, and intentional on who we spend the most time with. Sometimes we don't have total control over that if they're, family or whatever, but we can do our best to be intentional with that. So anybody else have anything they want to say before we go? Thanks for listening so intently. I know this night with the book thing, you have to hear so much stuff, but hopefully it was a good reminder. And next week will be more, I'm not sure what I'm going to do yet next week, but it's going to be more Mary Kay, regular Mary Kay stuff related. And, y'all don't forget if you're wanting to do preferred customer program, that deadline is on the 17th. And this book, I think, is a good one if you're going to mail some out because it's got all the new prices and it has the new foundations. And I'll just tell you guys real quick, I did get some of the foundations in my kit, and it had my color, but it was in matte instead of luminous. And I love luminous, but I did wear it one day. And I didn't put it on today, but I wore it one day, and I just feel kind of dry when I wear matte, but I didn't feel dry while it was on. Later, but it went on good, it covered well, real smooth. I thought it looked great. And the color, like I went by what the chart said, and the color looked good. So that was good to know. There's going to be a lot to learn because the numbering system's not going to match undertones. So I know HDK is on it to get us more information based on what she figures out with undertones and stuff like that. So that'll be helpful, but it'll be a great opportunity to get people in front of you so you can practice striping people and just tell them, say, these are all new. And so I need people to practice on to try to figure out what your color is. So, but I did really like how it felt. I loved how it looked. So it is exciting. It is exciting to get new foundations. So anyway, and if you want to get any guests on, tomorrow night is Miranda Rains at 8 p.m. with Janice Trude. And then Thursday night is a sharing event at 8 o'clock. If you guys, and I think that was a mom, daughter, and granddaughter that are doing that sharing event on Thursday night. So if you guys want to do that. Anyway, we're glad you were on, Terry. It's good to see you. And glad you're feeling better, Debbie. We're going to keep praying that this gets all clear for sure. Thankful for your car, Stephanie, and basketball game. Like, it's a good week. It's a good week. So you guys have a great rest of your week. I am going out of town Thursday through Sunday, but I'll be available via text or phone if anybody needs anything. I'm just going to Corpus Christi to see my mother-in-law, and it's like an 11-hour drive. So I'll be in the car Thursday and Sunday all day. But it'll be good. We haven't seen her in 18 months, so it'll be good. And it'll be humid there. So I'm
How
complaining
big
about
is
the drive.
Texas?
Do what?
I said, how big is Texas? Why does it take y'all forever to get everywhere
is
down there?
Huge, Stephanie. Huge.
I can
People
get
just
to
don't get it.
Colorado in 11 hours.
I know.
Like,
I know. Well, okay, so my parents used to live in Colorado, and from where I live, it would take me 3 hours to get to Colorado, where they lived. But it takes me 11 hours to get to my mother-in-law's in South Texas because we're up, in the little panhandle. And I mean, it took Jody and I 5.5 hours to get to Dallas, 5.5, 6 hours with so it's very spread out. Like you could put a lot of states. My son has said that too, because he's up there in New York and he's like, man, I can go to Massachusetts. I mean, I can go to all these states in the same amount of time as it would take me to get to Nani's house. So yeah, Texas is huge. Everything's bigger in Texas. It's big. You just need to come visit. Terry's been here to visit.
It's because we are in the center of the panhandle. So
yeah,
when you get down in to the Dallas area and stuff, you can get to Houston in 3 hours. You can get to Austin in 2 hours. You can get to San Antonio from Dallas in 3.5 hours. Mm-hmm. And you can get to Shreveport and go gamble from Dallas in an hour and a half or 2 hours. So it's because we're up here we're in the real Texas. We're not in the city Texas. We're in the country Texas.
Yeah. Yep. You go from El Paso all the way over to East Texas. I think that's 11 or 12 hours to go across Texas too. So Texas is just big. For sure. All right. Well, y'all have a good rest of your evening. Thank you guys for being on, and I will see you next week for sure. All right. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
I'm still recording. Let me see if I can stop recording. Okay.